Hello, I'm Claire and I'm here to help you improve your ballet. Today we are going to be talking about line and alignment, but in particular thinking about the way our hands and our feet are actually simply an extension of the respective limbs, our legs and arms. And what we're going to do is think about how what we really need to think of is our line going from our shoulder through our arm all the way down to that middle finger, so we don't get any weird awkwardness with our hands. Yes, same with our feet. I'll show you my feet in a little bit, but think of it being a straight line right from your hip through your knee, through your ankle, right down to the very, very tip of that big toe, in a full straight line all the way down. And that way we keep that beautiful length of limb, and you make your arms and your legs look as long and fabulous as possible. What we're aiming to go for in ballet is to try and remove the angles, so you don't want any awkward wrists or elbows or slightly bent knees or not stretched ankles. So you're aiming for that lovely long line. You're creating really nice balanced pictures with your legs. And of course, this is all happening whilst you're dancing. It's not like a freeze frame. It is moving into one position and then the next and then the next, and then, it's just flowing through really nicely. And it's quite tricky. It's quite hard to get it to look absolutely beautiful. And it's always a work in progress. Even for the most amazing ballerinas, they're still thinking of how can I make my hand look that little bit softer, or how can I make that arm a little bit more expressive. It's really tricky. But what I would say is don't ignore this at the beginning. Don't be thinking, oh, I've got to think about the basics. Yes, get the basics done. But at the same time, this is like the icing on the cake. So things like really imagining your fingers stroking the air as you're dancing is a really good way of getting into the habit of having those lovely soft fingers. Because if you don't think about it from the start, you'll end up showing the tension in your fingers, because it's quite hard work and you've got a lot to think about and a lot of muscles to engage, but you've got to engage the correct muscles. Any tension, I suggest putting into your lower belly, sort of engaging that core, which helps keep your hips neutral, and into your turnout muscles, the rotator muscles at the top of your legs, which turn those legs out, because that is where you do need a little bit of, I don't like to say tension, but engagement of the muscles to keep you controlled. Whereas your arms really need to show that beautiful softness. Your feet also do need to show lovely extensions. They're not really soft unless you're doing a lovely plie, then they need to be nice and soft. So, some tips with your hands. So, little exercises that are increasing the sensitivity of your fingers are really good. So, like literally rolling your fingers like this is a really lovely exercise. And literally, I imagine stroking the air and stroking up and down with my fingers. I know this seems really strange, but what can happen? I'll just show you. What can happen is that you can find yourself getting a nice position of your hands and fingers and thinking, okay, this is all right. And then this happens. Can you see my hands aren't responding to the movement? Whereas if you let your finger trail slightly, I'm not saying flapping your hands, but just slightly trail, like imagine you're trailing your fingers on a pool of water. That's a really good way of allowing that movement and softness to come into your fingers. And it's always, as I say, a work in progress. When your arms are in a curved position, your hands are curved too. When your arms are in a lengthened position, like arabesque, the fingers lengthen too. And I think people forget that there are different positions of the hands. You don't have a fixed position of your hands and then you just stay in that position the whole time, whatever movement you're doing, because then you can kind of get this kind of claw effect, which isn't that effective. Also, we can rotate our forearms without moving our upper arms, which is a really tricky thing to get. Some people literally, it's finding the happy medium between that and that or that. Okay, so basically, I think armpits down, elbows lifted, but then you do need to rotate those forearms slightly forward. Otherwise, you end up with your hands like that, which isn't quite correct. Yeah, you want to rotate those arms forward so your palms are facing forward. The same when your arms are in first position. I actually imagine holding an iPad, yeah, because it means my palms are slightly angled towards me. And can you see the line of my fingers is much more delicate than if I have them like that? Yes, where the palms are just only a tiny bit angled downwards. They start to look more clumsy and less delicate. We're always aiming for delicacy in ballet. Okay. As I said, it's like the sprinkles on top of the Christmas cake. Christmas cake? No, sprinkles on top of the cupcake. Okay, so those are a few tips with my hands. So think, get that lovely soft sensitivity. Imagine you're actually stroking that hair. Imagine you're actually stroking that air as you're moving your arms, and also being really aware that you can rotate those forearms so you can get the angle of your hands in the correct place without affecting the lift of your elbows. Yeah, you don't want your elbows to drop. You want to keep those elbows nice and lifted and the arms rotated like that. And obviously thinking all the time of working these muscles underneath your shoulder blades and the lats down here to make sure that the shoulders don't start creeping up, because again, this part of your body is framing your face. And the minute stuff starts to creep up or the hands go too high, can you see they start to encroach on that frame of your face, which is part of what's making you create the illusion that ballet is easy, which we all know it's not. That's the illusion we're trying to create. Okay, so those are my tips on hands. Now I'm going to go on to my feet. Now, literally, I start with like my absolute beginners. So no matter what level of ballet you're at, think peely feet. Okay, what I suggest doing is stand with your feet and your toes together and literally think of lifting your heel and bending that toe. So can you see I'm making a lovely crease in my ballet shoe? Try and stretch that ankle as much as you can, making sure the weight is slightly over the big toe, not over the little toes. Like, can you see that creates a bit of a bend outwards, which we call a sickle. You want it to be a nice straight line through the gap between the middle and first toe, right through to your knee. Okay, so you're going to bend that foot and peel and point. And do it that way. Yeah, so it goes lick the floor, peel and point, and then put it back down. And literally, that's a really good exercise to do right at the beginning, okay? Another one is rises. Imagine you're holding something between your ankle bones. This might be tricky if you've got quite big knees, so you might want to put a squishy ball. I have one of these. It's spiky, but it's soft. I literally squish it between my heels. And that's one way of making sure you stay over your big toes so you're not sickling outwards. If I drop the ball, I've sickled my feet. Okay, so that's a really good exercise. And again, trying to fully stretch those ankles so you lift your heels off the floor as much as possible, making a lovely crease in those ballet shoes. So you're making a little platform. If I pop around this way, you're making a little platform with those feet. So this angle here is as close to right angles as you can possibly get. And what that's doing is stretching those ankles and also making sure that this toe joint remains supple. Every time your foot comes off the floor, I want you to imagine you're licking the floor with your foot. So you're basically, we call it articulation. You stretch your ankle, lift your heels off the floor, then you point your toes. So every time you're going to peel your foot off the floor, you're going to go peel the ball of that foot in, and then you're going to point that foot, stretch it to within an inch of its life. Think of stretching the ankle and then having the toes extended, yes? What you don't want is to crunch your toes and leave the ankle flexed, yes? You want to stretch that ankle, which will use your calf muscles a bit, and then really stretch that foot, okay? If you just go straight from there to there, can you see, you just go there, it loses a little bit of impact. I can't explain it, but it kind of loses that fluidity. Whereas if you go peel the foot and then point it, can you see it immediately helps your foot look more pretty. Same when you do a tendu. If I'm going to do a tendu to the front and just go like that and that, yeah, it's not that special. But if I go ankle, then the toes, flex the toes, keep that ankle stretched, and then to the side, ankle, then the toes, relax the toes, keep the ankle stretched and slide it in. So they were my tips on helping get that lovely peely foot so that your foot, like your hand, is a beautiful extension of your leg. So it goes straight, the energy goes straight from your hip right the way through, beautiful stretched leg, stretched ankle, most importantly, right to the tip of those toes. Try not to curl your toes over, yeah, because that gets you the kind of claw. Yeah, we don't want that. Yeah, we don't want curly toes. You want to keep those toes as uncurled as possible, even for normal life, because you don't really want your toenails to be digging down into the floor as you get older. A lot of us, especially women, when we wear our trendy shoes, the shoes can make your toes curl in, and again that can cause really painful toes as we get older. So that's one thing to think about with normal life. So those are my 2 tips today on making your hands and your feet blend beautifully with your legs, which will help make your line and alignment absolutely fabulous. And I hope it helps. If you'd like to try one of my classes, go along to bridgeballet.club and you can try a class there and then. Literally, it's one of my classes that I've recorded previously. And if you enjoy it, you can do more. You can do as many as you like. You can join the club and take class anytime you like, day or night, 24/7, 365 days a year. Okay. If you want to do a class live with me, check out bridgeballet.co.uk and you can check our schedule and book yourself in for a ballet class. Lovely to dance with you, lovely to talk to you. If this helped you, please let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear how you're getting on. If it hasn't, or if you're having trouble, let me know as well so I can help you. I can ask any questions you like and I can give you some advice. And please do share with your friends, yeah? Because basically we can all lift each other up together. We can all be the most amazing dancers that we can be. And that's what I'm here for. Number one, to help more people dance, because dancing is just the most amazing way of keeping active and keeping fit. It's something we enjoy, so it's really easy to stick to. Let's face it, if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. I know I don't. So if I'm doing something I really enjoy, I'm going to keep doing it. And exercises like vitamin C, we need a little bit every day. So I'm going to leave you there and have a lovely day, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.